Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is another ear tutorial. I'm really excited about this one because it is an obscure character that we don't see much of, and you guys know that those are my favorite. So I decided to make a set of Evinrude inspired ears for my best friend Erika during our Christmas exchange. If you guys missed that Christmas swap video, I will have it linked below and above for you. But this video is of course the tutorial for how I made those ears. My friend Erika, she is a huge fan of the Rescuers, and Evinrude is her favorite character. She really likes, honestly, like rodents and bugs in Disney movies. I've put that together through our friendship. But she loves Evinrude. He is truly the hero of the movie, so I had to do something dedicated to him. And Evinrude merch is not exactly, you know, like all over the shelves or anything. So I did put together this little DIY for you guys and a set of ears for her. So without any more talking, let's jump into this tutorial.
Okay, so you're gonna need some floral wire. I picked up this 3-pack at Dollar Tree, and then I also picked up a single pack because I'm gonna need the blue and the green, and I haven't been able to find the blue in a single pack. And then I also picked up some ping pong balls and some assorted greenery. Some are blue flowers and some are just like leaves. I also am using some yellow felt. You don't need very much at all because it's just for like a little detail on it. And then you'll need some green felt. I think the darker green works a little bit better, and then you'll also need a 1-inch headband. With the floral wire, you're going to outstretch some blue and some green, and then I'm going to be twisting these together. I just wanted to bring in a little bit more of Evinrude's color combination, which is like a blue and green kind of combo, and then also the sweater he wears has stripes on it, so I thought this was kind of a cute way of integrating that into the design. But you're just going to want to twist these around. I don't have an exact measurement of how much wire I started off with. I kind of just eyeballed it for what looked like enough to make an ear. Now I'm going to be taking my ear spacing template. I will have this linked below for you guys, and I've used this in pretty much all of my ear tutorials at this point, but I'm using this to get the shape of my ear. Now normally I would take a 4-inch diameter candle, like the ones from Bath & Body Works, the 3-wick candles that they have, but for this particular set I just found this to be easier, so I just followed the guide of the ear on the template, and then I rounded the bottom so that it would adhere, so it would contour to the headband, if that makes sense. And then I'm just wrapping around the excess wire. I do end up getting a pair of needle nose pliers to do this for the second ear because it was much easier than trying to do that with my hand. And then you're going to see me just kind of mess around with the shape until I get it the way that I like it. Now moving on, you're going to repeat this step and make yourself a second ear, and then you're going to go ahead and attach these to the headband. So the headbands I use, I'll try to link below for you guys. There's 2 different kinds that I like, but this has been the kind I've been using a lot more often because they're a little more cost friendly to like buy them in bulk. I am going to be hot gluing these ears onto the headband, so I'm first going to apply some hot glue to the actual wire itself, and I'm going to firmly press it down onto the headband. If you notice, I'm using that spacing template to get the spacing of the ears, hence the name. Spacing template. Wow, I'm repetitive. But I'm just going to firmly hold that down and allow the glue to fully set and dry. I know I'm just sitting here and it looks like I'm freeze framing, but I'm not. I'm just trying to hold it in place enough for the glue to dry. If they don't seem 100% secure yet, that is okay. As long as they seem mostly secure, you're going to be fine because we are going to add a few layers of other things on here, which is going to provide another layer of security, if that makes sense. So the next step I'm doing is I traced out half of Evinrude's wings. I just kind of eyeballed this and tried to use my headband as a sizing template because obviously I want them to be, you know, the correct scale for the headband. But I just kind of sketched out some basic dragon wings, and then I'm going to take my green wire and shape it to the shape of that wing. I am going to do this twice because obviously I need 2 sides of this, but I am just going to use the same tracing both times so that they are symmetrical. But once I got the top kind of loop folded, I just keep going with that same piece of wire. So I didn't cut like 4 separate pieces. It's just each half is one piece of wire that's kind of looped around twice. Again, those needle nose pliers are going to come in real handy for this particular set of ears. You can pick those up at Dollar Tree, by the way. And then I'm just kind of testing it out and making sure I like the shape of it and the look of it, and now I'm going to move on to the other half of the wings. I am going to leave this part in and zoom in a little bit just so you guys can see what I'm doing in case you need any like close-up help when you're doing this part. Now that I have both sides of the wings pretty much as symmetrical as I can get them, I'm going to go ahead and attach them using that excess wire on the wings. So if you see, I left like a little tail of the wire on both sides, and I'm just going to twist that wire together in order to make these one solid piece, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue them down onto the ear. Now, unfortunately, my camera cut out right as I glued these down, but basically all you need to do is the same thing that you did with the ears: apply some hot glue and then press down the wings into the hot glue and let them fully dry before you let go. Now, do be careful because this wire can heat up if your glue is super hot. Just don't get your hands too close to it. If you notice my wings are still wiggling a little bit, we are going to go and add some flowers later on to reinforce them, but before we do that, we're going to go ahead and make Evinrude's little eyes. So I'm going to be using the ping pong balls for the eyes, and I'm starting just by using some Sharpie to make a little pupil on each eye. Now moving on to our green felt, this is definitely the hardest part, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, the back of this did not come out pretty at all, so take your time with it and just really try to work slow. I think I was working too fast because I was trying to get these done before I left to see Erika, but you'll see. But basically just cut yourself a little rectangle, and then I'm going to try to make his little eyelid, because if you look at him in the movie, his eyes like have very clearly defined eyelids across them. It's not just like a creepy giant eye on it. So this is what I originally did, where I cut like a curve around it. If I did this again, what I would do is leave that a little bit longer, and then I would snip the fabric into like chunks, if that makes sense, and then you could glue down one fold at a time. I really do hope I'm making sense, but think about when you were in elementary school and you used to make like grass using construction paper, and you would cut, like snip the end of the construction paper. I don't know if this is helping you guys, but dear God, I hope it is. But yeah, just snip like chunks into the felt and then glue it down one chunk at a time instead of trying to glue down the entire round of the back. So now I'm moving on to the bottom eyelid. I'm going to do the exact same thing, and again, I'm giving you guys the same advice, like glue it down kind of in chunks, only in the back. That front part that is like the front of his eyelid, you do want to do that all in one solid piece. I'm just talking about trying to clean up the back, because my backs were rough looking, to say the least. So this time I tried to cut it into like a triangle shape, thinking that that might help. It really didn't, and I ended up not even covering the entire eye, so I had to like Frankenstein more felt onto the back before I finished. You can also see me getting glue all over myself. If you guys have those little silicone finger covers, now is a great time to use them. So now I'm going to move on to the second eye. This time what I did is applied a line of hot glue to the actual ping pong ball itself. Now if you'll notice, I did not do the pupil on this eye just yet because I wanted to make sure that the pupils were symmetrical, and I thought that would be much easier if I did the whole eyelid thing first and then went in with it lined up with the other eye to try to make the eyes look right and not, you know, make Evinrude look cross-eyed or something like that. I did get a little bit out of frame for this part, so I'm just going to cut to when this eye is covered as well, and I'm drawing the second pupil on, just so I'm not wasting your guys' time. But basically I did the exact same thing, and the back was super messy on the second one as well. But now that I have them both covered, I'm going to go in with a black paint pen on the first eye and cover up that Sharpie a little bit. The Sharpie was just looking kind of sheer. I don't think this is 100% necessary, but because these were a gift for somebody else, I just decided to go ahead and use the paint pen that I already had on hand. And now I'm going in and doing the second eye and just trying to make these as symmetrical as possible. Just take your time with it. You can always add a little bit more, but you obviously will have a harder time taking it away. Next, I took a little bit of that yellow felt and I'm just cutting out a small oval to create Evinrude's nose. I am going to glue this onto the eyes, but I'm just cutting it out right now. Next, I pulled out a bunch of the greenery that I had on hand. I did have a lot. It's almost embarrassing how much florals I have in my house, but I love them and I use them in a lot of decor. So I tried a bunch of different combinations, but I did end up going with a very simple, just kind of like blue flower with some greenery poking out. The more I added, the more I just felt like it took away from the wings and stuff, and I didn't like that. So I did go with these. I think these are chrysanthemums, but they're from Dollar Tree. They're just blue, simple blue chrysanthemums from Dollar Tree. And I'm just spreading these out and kind of laying out where I want them to go. This is going to ultimately help reinforce the ears, the eyes, and the wings. But before I go in and glue the flowers, I did want to attach the eyes. So I'm just applying a pretty generous amount of hot glue to the back of the eye, and then I'm just firmly pressing it down on to the wings. Now, originally I had these spaced way too far apart. You do want them touching because they look a little bit creepy when they're not. They look more like Boo. If you guys didn't see, I did make some Boo inspired ears on my channel, and that's what it was reminding me of. Anyway, so I glued them together and then I did add a little dot of hot glue and like pressed the eyes together so that they would hold. I did add a little bit more to the eyelid on the right eye or left eye, depending on which way you're looking at it, because the eyelid wasn't big enough. Next I'm going to add the little nose, and I'm just applying a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm actually gluing his nose down onto his actual eyes. But he is starting to look like Evinrude now, so I'm feeling a little bit better at this point. To make his little mustache, I took some black yarn that I had on hand. This part cracks me up. I don't know why. It just looks so funny to me. But I'm just going to cut a few strands of this by rolling it in my hand first, to try to make them like a similar length, and then I'm going to snip off the end and hot glue down that little bundle under his nose. Now this is going to be way too long originally, so I do end up going in and trimming it. And then I repeat the same thing on the other side because I did want to do it like one side at a time. I am going to do the same thing with, he's got like these little hairs that poke out of the back of his head, but for those I wanted to use pipe cleaners because I wanted to make sure that they didn't droop. Next, I'll be going in with those flowers and just hot gluing those down, mostly underneath the wing and on top of the ear. I did do these pretty sparsely because, again, I didn't want to take away from actually being able to see his little wings and eyes. But this is just to reinforce those ears. You really don't have to do this step. I don't think it looks terrible without them, but I do like the little add of texture that it gives the ears. And then I did want to show you guys the back, because this is what I was talking about with the back just kind of looked a little bit messy in my opinion. So another reason I'm adding the flowers is to cover up that mess on the back. Now I just kind of felt like it was missing something, so I did have this little, it's like a rubbery plant. I got this in the wedding section at Hobby Lobby, like where you can make bouquets and stuff, but it looks like a little fern kind of, and I like that it reminded me more of the swamp, which is where the first Rescuers kind of takes place. So I'm just cutting little strands of it and then gluing this all around. On to the next part, we're going to be adding his little hair strands. I'm taking this black pipe cleaner and just clipping, trying to kind of just eyeball it for the same size, and then I'm going to take these and glue these behind his eye because they kind of stick up from his head. I believe I did 4 or 5 strands, and then I took one more strand and wrapped it around the base of it just to make it easier to glue down, and then I trimmed it up in case there were any strands that stuck out a little bit too much. I'm just going to flip it over on the back, make sure that I have some good space to glue it down on, and then I'm going to kind of shove my hot glue gun in between and press down those pipe cleaners. And that's it for this tutorial. I really love how these ears came out. I love that my best friend likes the most obscure characters and I get to make super unique pairs of ears like this. Let me know what you guys thought of this. Are there any other really unrepresented Disney characters that I need to make ears for? Let me know in the comments below, and leave me a little dragonfly emoji if you watched this video all the way through. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.